back to Espresso with Matt. I am here with my friend Darren, who I know from, well, New Jersey, ACHE, but also is a system director of operations at Mount Sinai and the president of Healthcare Leaders New York. Good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Matt. It's such a pleasure to be on Espresso with Matt, really having the opportunity to speak about my career and the work that I do every single day, both at Mount Sinai, Healthcare Leaders of New York, all in terms of helping support, enhance, and grow both our patient population and grow our people that support the work we do and care for leaders and
Sure.
communities, local and abroad.
We're so excited to have you on board. And you know, I met you a few months ago, I suppose a month and a half ago in Hackensack, and I was really excited that you wanted to join this because I think you have so much great knowledge about healthcare. Before we get into all to that, we have a really important question we have to get through everyone. So for me, I'm drinking the double espresso. That's why I get through my day. But what we got in the coffee cup today? Are you drinking tea, coffee? What you got going on?
So I'm a 1 cup a day coffee person,
Okay.
and then if I need a little bit more just calm before the storm, or while we're in the storm, just needing something to help me through, then that might be where I'll get a cup of tea or a cup of chai to help me finish the day. But as of now, some coffee and a little bit of water to help me get through the
One
morning.
one cup and hydrate. I tell this story. You can appreciate this as being a healthcare leader over the years. Um, I wasn't much of a coffee drinker about 10 years ago. I started really drinking more of it. And then during COVID, I was working pretty much like everyone during COVID, like, 7, 12, 15-hour days, every 7 days a week. So I got myself a little espresso machine for my office. And I decided, okay, I'll just have a few espressos get me through the day. One day, I think it was about 2, 3 months through COVID, I called my wife. I'm like, Jess, I think I'm having a heart attack. I'm sweaty. I can't breathe right. And she's like, well, how many espressos did you have? I'm like, one, two, three, seven. She's like, Matt, stop. So I limit myself to three a day. That's what I go through. Three espressos a day, and then I go from there, and that keeps me pretty good.
No,
But
I have the pleasure of working with a lot of surgeons and cancer surgeons at that, and so it's a common item found throughout the practice, throughout the office, are either coffee machines, Keurigs, or very high level espresso and chai machines that really help keep the blood flowing and
yeah,
everything moving forward in terms of the work we do.
yeah, I wouldn't want to have a surgeon who's detoxing from caffeine personally. That's just me. I'm really thrilled you're here. And just for everyone out there, I mean, your background, your experience as a healthcare leader, what you've done and networked, maybe just try and take everyone through a little bit about your career progression, what you're currently doing. I think you have a fascinating career, great accomplishments, and really kind of a whole diversity of experiences and locations. So take a few minutes to tell everyone, a little bit about Darren and your career.
No, absolutely. Thank you for that opportunity, Matt. So, as I like to tell a lot of students and early careers and those that I meet across and throughout my time, is that I am not the example, I'm the outlier. And I say that because I've been very fortunate in my career. And I teach others how we progress in our careers are threefold. We have to be a good person in terms of having great character. We have to have a portfolio of wins and outcomes that display our abilities to actually move the ball forward and achieve and accomplish a goal and a task. And then we have to have a network that enables to be both our mentor, our allies, and our sponsors. And those three things combined truly help move people forward and throughout their career. And here, part of the Healthcare Leaders of New York, the local and largest chapter of the American College of Healthcare Executives, we truly provide those resources and opportunities to help individuals or professionals move throughout the continuum of both their career and their membership. So I start by saying that because that's where my journey began. I was a student at the Hofstra MHA program that afforded me the opportunity based on really solid advice from our program director at that time, Michael Gatto, along with one of the more seasoned and senior professors of the program, Fred Skanga. Both professors Gatto and Skanga encouraged and pretty much voluntold me to join Hilney and ACHE. And from there, my opportunities and my pathway became clearer, and was fortified with the resources needed to continue to advance. As I started as a MHA student, I was going to school full time. I was working at Mount Sinai in my first job full time. And also, I had the opportunity to be an administrator on duty at New York City Health and Hospitals, Coney Island, during the off hour tours and shifts. So while I was getting my master's and starting out in my career, hard work is not something distant or unfamiliar to me. So I finished my master's early. I was able to obtain additional promotions and opportunities to advance my career, both at Sinai and external, after I finished my master's with honors early. And I took the opportunity not to stay at a comfortable position or institution where there was many resources and many opportunities, but instead I took the advice of my mentors and I went to New York City Health and Hospitals and transitioned over to becoming an administrator there. For the next 5 years after leaving Mount Sinai, I worked for New York City Health and Hospitals, Gotham Health Gouverneur. In that tenure, I was able to learn the basics, build my career from the ground up, and be able to provide value at every level and every step, not just for the workforce that I had the pleasure of leading, but for the communities I had the honor to serve. After the opportunity at Health and Hospitals, kind of knowing when your head is hitting the ceiling, it's time to find a new ceiling. And I was fortunate to where Mount Sinai knocked on the door and offered me an opportunity, and I returned to the system to run the downtown urology operations for the urology department at Mount Sinai. At that time frame, we had COVID, and we had to manage all of the COVID operations and activities and ensure patient care and workforce care. And I'm proud to have been the telehealth lead, the COVID recovery and response leader for the department. And from that hard work and those successes, I was able to then become and be given the opportunity to be the system director of operations for urology department at Mount Sinai, running the operations of the entire service line for the health system. And that's a role I've had ever since that time. And I love doing that role. I enjoy working with all of the sites, the faculty, the staff, and the chairman to ensure the vision and the value of that innovation and that quality of care and that excellence and growth is achieved every single day. So that's just a little bit about what I do and my career journey and path from student to now senior leader within the time frame.
Well, Darren, do all that in one cup of coffee a day. That's a pretty awesome accomplishment. You hit on something very early on in your conversation. I want to go back to it. I really thought it was a great summary. Be a good person, have outcomes, have a network. Wow, that's a really great way of boiling it down to saying, hey, you want to be successful? Be a good person first. Do something that you do well, and have people around your network. I want let's take two of those. Let's assume everyone out there is a good person, and work towards that. But outcomes, that is a great discussion. I always look at the idea the best predictor of future performance is past performance. I used to joke around, people say, hey, look, I can do a lot of things in my life, but if you said, Matt, you have to run a 5 minute mile, I couldn't do that with a bike in a stiff wind. I've never done that in my life, right? Outcomes matter. What you've done in the past matters, and not exactly having the same success. You can translate skill sets, but talk about that as a leader, especially in healthcare. The outcomes you have to produce, how you work on outcomes, how you develop those, and how you kind of get to a point where you can share outcomes and track them for others. That's a great discussion. you mind sharing a little bit
Sure.
about
So
your?
so let me start on that discussion by mentioning something that I hold dear to my heart every day as I speak to people, which is performance. How do we generate performance? And the American College of Healthcare Executives has taught us that performance equals technical skills times behavior. I can't change people or behavior. I can only encourage, enhance the tools and resources. But the technical skills of the work we do every day, those are things we can teach people. I can teach someone how to run a hospital. I can teach someone how to manage operations. But in terms of understanding the bigger picture, in terms of being able to have intrinsic value by connecting with other leaders and teams in terms of teamwork, honesty, transparency, communication, empathy, all of these intrinsic values or leadership styles really then determine what we do with the technical skills we have, which lead to performance. So, in terms of having a portfolio of wins, whether it's in the space that you're in now or not, things are translatable and transcribable. So ensuring that we are a good person, meaning we can work with others, we're kind, we understand the bigger picture of the work we do, because let's be clear, healthcare is a calling. It's a calling to serve others. And as I like to say every day of my life, the business of medicine and healthcare is the business of people. So when looking at outcomes and wins, it's really about understanding the person and their strengths, their areas of improvement, and how are they tackling their ability to move the balls that they have in their court forward. Because at the end of the day, to save lives, we have to be able to win. Now, we may not win every battle, but we win and lose some battles, but we got to win the war. And that's where having an understanding of yourself, who you are, what you can do, and leveraging the skills and resources around you in order for you to be successful is critical. But as I tell all rising professionals, it starts and it ends with you. And in reality, that's how we are able to drive performance and we're able to be successful as leaders within our space and business. You know, adversity is the greatest determinator of success because what do you do when you get knocked down? What do you do when you lose? What do you do when you fail and you miss the shot? Do you back down? Do you sit down? Do you do less and do nothing? Or do you get back up again and keep working harder to improve what you're doing so that you can win? And those portfolios of wins are what really help us as hiring managers and those as predictors of future activity. That's what really helps us to know what happens next.
There's so much to unpack there. One thing I want to talk a little bit about, that frightening realization that you determine the weather, and your attitude determines the weather. I worked 25 years in behavioral health before, and I worked in a youth residential program where outcomes were not always immediate. Behavioral health, the challenge of behavioral health is sometimes you don't really see the fruits of your labor to years later. And sometimes it's met with like the children who need you the most are the ones who push you away the most. And when you had a positive outcome, it really was something to cherish. And so I thought back, I had a really great mentor. Like it sounds like you had some really wonderful mentors in your career. And he would always say, your attitude determines the weather around here, you know, and it really matters. And healthcare is so important for that. Great discussion. I think any healthcare leader has to have a scoreboard, has to help have that for their team, have the goals out there, but also work on the people towards those goals. It's not just numbers and results, but outcomes matter. The other thing you talked about with your career development, which I really want to get some great advice from you, because I think you are probably a first class networker. You have an amazing network, done an amazing job with that. Advice for networking. So many people are out there trying to network, and I've heard you talk about this in my last event. What's your advice to get out there and network, meet people, talk with people, get out there, engage in your network?
No, absolutely. Networking is critical to our success. It helps get us out of our comfort zone. Because remember, if we're comfortable, we're not growing. We have to be uncomfortable in order to have a little bit of pain in order to learn so that we can progress. And so networking is not easy to put yourself forward, to put yourself out there. But I always like to tell people start from your why and start from a place of inquiry and question and wonder. All leaders love to give back one way, shape, or form, and communicating about things that they value, things that are meaningful for them, and things that are impactful open doors in terms of how we are able to communicate and connect with others. And so I want to tell early and rising professionals and leaders, start with your why as you're outreaching individuals to learn more about who they are and what they do every day. I love the idea of Espresso with Matt. It's an incredible opportunity, honestly, to connect with incredible leaders. But, all rising professionals have that same opportunity to have a cup of coffee or an espresso or a chai or a tea with some leader to talk about their why. And if we go back to aligning purpose with task and understanding bigger pictures in terms of how we care for, support, and lead and inspire and motivate and engage people, that then will lead to the outcomes, the excellence, the quality, the access, the affordability, and the care for our populations, our people, and our communities.
That Darren, I gotta tell you, such a great message. I was talking to someone who described herself as an early careerist a few weeks ago, and she was talking about networking. She's like, "Well, I don't think I belong in the room. I don't think I belong talking." I said, well, "First of all, stop it. A little bit. If you haven't seen The Wizard of Oz, when you get behind the curtain, there's no grand wizard in leadership. They're people. They're really good people, and most really great leaders want to mentor other people. They want to share their why." And I said, so they enjoy talking. Don't be afraid. And I think that's the mystery, that there is some great secret sauce. Now, to be very clear, there's amazing leaders out there, and healthcare has amazing leaders and very unique leaders that not everyone can do. But the fact that you can't go out there and mentor, talk with people, and that's the one thing I got to tell you, I've been so pleased with it as I've been focused on networking the last few months is through LinkedIn, through ACHA, through healthcare leaders in New York. Um, so many people out there willing to join, network, share their knowledge. It's an amazing community if you ask for it. If you want to find positive network, you can find it. If you want to find negativity, you can find it. It's what journey you on. Such great advice. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the healthcare leaders in New York. Obviously, very proud that you're the president of it. Um, you guys have some great events. I will cross the bridge at one point or under the tunnel. I'm going to come to some of those events. Be warned. But tell me about a little bit what you do there and your role as president there and how you kind of expand that network for a very important group.
No, absolutely. So, Healthcare Leaders of New York is the largest and the local chapter of the American College of Healthcare Executives. HILNY, as we call Healthcare Leaders of New York, comprises of over 2,000 healthcare professionals and leaders across the metropolitan area. That includes Dutchess County, Hudson Valley, Westchester, Long Island, and the five boroughs of New York City. And some would say Staten Island is another borough, but we consider it a part of New York City's five boroughs, and we include them as well. And of course, the American College of Healthcare Executives is the largest premier healthcare executive and professional organization in the world, with over 51,000 members, both domestic and abroad. So HILNY and ACHE are incredible resources and professional organizations for all cohorts of healthcare professionals to be a part of and join, from students to early careerists to middle careerists to senior leaders and to C-suite executives and lifers, academics, clinical professionals, clinicians, and administrative professionals. HILNY and ACHE is a place for all people in our healthcare space. And my role as president of the organization is to, during my tenure, help to continue to inspire, integrate, and enhance and expand and grow our membership, our responsibility and purpose, along with our presence. And what do I mean by that? Well, our membership is the overarching metropolitan region of New York State. However, members and professionals have a choice in terms of who they partner with. And tying back to the other elements of my statement in terms of presence and in terms of value, it's really what are we doing for our people? And it's the same message across the entire healthcare landscape. What are we doing for our communities? What are we doing for our patients? What are we doing for our populations? What are we doing for our workforce? Our workforce is clinical, administrative, and so much more. So during my tenure as president of Healthcare Leaders of New York, my goal and theme for 2025 is going back to basics and adding value at every step. What that means is programmatically providing every membership cohort and type, all those a part of Healthcare Leaders of New York, the opportunity, the forum, the ability to have value, to have resources, to have skills, to have tools provided in order for them to achieve the five pillars of Healthcare Leaders of New York, which is education, networking, professional development, service. Those are our pillars, and advancement. Those are our pillars in terms of how do we add value back to our members and how do we ensure the pipeline of leaders in terms of the markets we support are there in terms of quality, competent, empathetic, inspiring, motivating, and engaged leaders to help the communities we support in terms of care. So really that's my role, that's my opportunity in my tenure, and it's such a fortune for me to be able to help our members and our people continue to grow and provide value back to the organizations, communities, and people they serve.
For first class organization, and don't make the mistake I made. The biggest mistake I made in my career is I didn't network until I left my last role. I was too busy at my work, and I really wish I joined ACHE at some point earlier in my career. But you know what? That's why the windshield's much bigger than the rearview mirror, right? And
But
I
Matt, what
found
I would say to you is tying back a comment you made earlier about, rising professionals being fearful of the rooms that they're in. And I want to change that mindset because as I stated before, in order for us to win, in order for us to succeed, in order for us to make an impact and make a difference, we have to put ourselves forward. We have to be a little bit uncomfortable and we have to be brave and courageous to know that every room and every table where decisions are made, that's the place for us because we have a seat at the table. And if we don't, we need to go and make one. And that's the difference between those that rise and those that stay. And I'm very adamant and passionate about the fact that people have to take control of their own lives and utilize the incredible resources they have at their fingertips. Healthcare Leaders of New York, the American College of Healthcare Executives, employ resource groups within their own organizations and other professional and affiliates and groups that can help them in terms of advancing their career and themselves for people.
great advice. It's a master class for everyone out there on what to do as a network, as a healthcare leader, and you speak to it so passionately. Well, we are about to embark on our favorite part of the episode, our espresso round questions. So here we go. Here's our first espresso round question. What is the best piece of advice you ever got over a cup of coffee?
Best piece of advice I ever received over a cup of coffee was don't focus on limitations in the present. Look ahead to what you need to achieve the limitless possibilities in the future.
Wow, that is some pretty good advice there. A cup of coffee, get a lot of great advice over there. Now, you sit down with leaders all the time. If you're talking out to the audience right now, having a cup of coffee with everyone, what's a piece of advice you give a leader over a cup of coffee right now?
Absolutely, and I love a cup of coffee with any leader that would have me. And the advice I would give to them, and I give to all of you, is stay hungry, be focused, and remember your purpose.
That pretty good stuff there. Very good stuff. You go back, you talk to a younger Darren, have a cup of coffee, a younger version of yourself. This is my favorite question. Well, what advice would you give a younger Darren?
I would go back and give a younger version of myself the advice of focus on what matters in the moment. It matters the most.
Be here. That's great advice. Last question. You can have a cup of coffee anywhere, anytime, any place with anyone. Who are you having that cup of coffee with?
I would love to have been able to have a cup of coffee with Nelson Mandela to understand and learn from his patience and his victory for his people.
That that is a very popular choice, and a lot of people mention that, and an incredible leader. And talk about commitment to the cause. Darren, thank you so much. I mean, so much energy, so much great advice packed into this episode here. I cannot wait to see what you do with healthcare leaders in New York and continue with your career. I hope this is only a first cup for us. I hope we were able to share other cups in the future. Darren, thank you so much for joining me for this episode today.
Absolutely. It was such a pleasure to join you, Matt, on Espresso with Matt. This has been a wonderful opportunity to speak to both my career, my journey, the value of healthcare leaders of New York, the American College of Healthcare Executives, and reminding rising professionals that it starts and it ends with them. And the business of healthcare and medicine is the business of people. So keep people first, and you'll never go wrong. Thank you.
Darren, awesome job. Talk to you all soon, everyone, till we have the next cup. Everyone have a great day.